NMG presents Behind the Music with Alex Elbro.
Hello, I'm Alex Elbro and welcome to Behind the Music. In this series, we look beyond the music to discover life, the passion and the stories behind the artists that we love. I'll be sitting down with musicians and exploring what shapes them, what inspires them and how their personal stories are woven into their music. And today I'm really delighted to have musician and producer Jake Day here. Now, I first met Jake when he was a guitarist with Tom Lumley and the Brave Liaison, which became Brave Liaison, as you may know. He's award-winning music producer, having won NMG awards Producer of the Year for 2018, 2019 and 2021. And in addition, Tom Lumley and the Brave Liaison also won the NMG Breakout Artist of the Year in 2021. I'm really looking forward to finding out how he's got on and where he is now. And welcome to the show, Jake.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, Jake, let's go right back to when you first started being involved with music. Your earliest memories of being involved with music?
Well, where I grew up in Little Catworth, which is now where my studio is, there's 4 houses and 3 of them are my family. So I lived basically across the road from my uncle, and my uncle played keyboards in a band and also had a studio in a barn opposite his house. So I started by playing keyboards because he took me to one of his friends who was a keyboard piano teacher. So I started with keyboards. I don't remember really being super interested in playing keyboard, but it was when my keyboard teacher started playing guitar and then decided to divert into teaching guitar alongside keyboard. I was like, I want to play guitar. And so then I changed over to guitar, which maybe my uncle wasn't too pleased about, but I was still involved in music. So yeah, then I transitioned to guitar probably around 8 or 9 years old.
So still quite young.
Yeah.
To be, and you were saying then that you did keyboard. So did you have lessons? You had lessons?
Yeah, I had lessons on the keyboard first. I think I passed grade 1.
That's good.
Playing English Country Gardens. That's the only thing I remember. That's the only song I remember being able to play on keyboard. English Country Gardens. And then transitioned on to guitar. But because my keyboard teacher, who was trying to be a guitar teacher at the time, wasn't really a guitar player, my uncle found another guitar teacher who he'd actually played in bands with, who was very well known in the area and still is now, Owen Edwards, very reputable guitar teacher. So I moved to him. I was probably 10 or 11 when I started guitar lessons with him, and I stayed having guitar lessons until I was 18 and went to university. That's when my guitar lessons ended. But yeah, so I played guitar from about 10 till, well, now. I still play guitar now.
Exactly. So would you say that was your favourite instrument?
Absolutely. As soon as I picked up the guitar, I only knew how to play one chord, but I was obsessed from right on then because I was just writing songs with that one chord that I knew.
But that just shows, doesn't it? I think there's sometimes that you try different instruments and then you find the one that's for you. And I know that's with a lot of people. They're often given like a recorder or whatever to start off with, and then that can go either way, can't it? That can put you right off, but because you've got keyboards are quite young, so that means that you've got a basic understanding as well of keyboards and playing music through like a keyboard as well.
Yeah, I wish I'd stuck to it, to be honest, because I mean at the time I thought keyboard isn't cool, guitar's way cooler.
Yeah.
But now I really wish I could play piano to a good extent, because when you sit down at a piano, you can play a piece of music and it's complete almost. Whereas a guitar, you sit down, you can't play the lead line and the chords at the same time unless you're one of these virtuosos.
Yeah. I mean, I never really thought about that. That's a really good point. Why piano is it's because you're doing the chords and the melody, at the same time.
So you can play like a complete piece of music.
Yeah, and other instruments aren't. Yeah, but it's good. As a producer that you are now, it's good that you've got that understanding of other instruments. I think it must be hard if you don't have that, how you can really understand how things work and how they'll go together. Yeah,
and being a guitar player, I think that helps with being a producer as well. Like, obviously, if you're sufficient on a piano, you can still be a really good producer. But because I can play guitar, it also means I can play bass. And I can play drums. I'm like self-taught on drums, so I can piece together almost anything, but my main instrument is guitar, which means I'm good on bass as well. So then when a singer-songwriter comes to me and they can play, the chords on their guitar and they can sing the melodies and the lyrics they've written, I can piece the other stuff around it.
Yeah. We're going to play some of the music that you've produced and some of the ones that you've been in throughout this show. Now, which is the band that you're going to do first? We're going to look at some of the people that you've produced, aren't we?
Yeah.
So who's the first one? Is this the first person you produced, or is it just the first person?
So I opened the studio in February 2015, and one of the earliest bands that I worked with around that time were called The Rose Affair, and they were local to Huntingdon, where the studio sort of is in the same area. So I'd seen them play gigs, in Huntingdon a number of times, and I was like, oh, I really like this band. Like, the music they were playing was completely up my street. So almost in a way, like, begged them in a way, like, please, I've just opened a recording studio, come work with me. And it was actually, I got the drummer Jacob, I became friends with him, and I was like, just come to the studio and record some drums and see what you think. So we did like one day of an afternoon of recording drums, and then he went back and told the rest of the band, like, oh, we've got to go and record some songs here. So the first song we did together was this song called Napoli, and they were quite well in with BBC Introducing at the time, and Tom Simpkins, who was on BBC Introducing at the time. So we did this first song together, Napoli, and we were all super pleased with it. Then a few weeks later, once it got released, it was actually played on Radio 1, so it was the first time anything I'd worked on got played on Radio 1, and it was way ahead of like my own timeline in my head. I didn't think I'd be getting a Radio 1 play anytime soon, so that like was really exciting. I can still remember it now, like sitting up late at my laptop to listen to Hugh Stevens play that song. I was just like crazy.
I mean, that is pretty good on your first
song with them, yeah.
Yeah, first song you've ever produced with them as well. And we're going to hear that now.
Yeah.
So that was good. What great memories, eh?
Yeah, that is a throwback. Going back to listen to that song again, I have so many good memories with the Rose Affair because they came and did like over the years, well, probably around 20 songs with me. So it was like every other month they'd come in to do another single. So yeah.
And did you say that was 2015?
Well, it came out in 2016. I started the studio in 2015, so we either recorded it very late in 2015 and it came out then in 2016, or we recorded it early 2016 and then it came out shortly after that.
That's still like 10 years ago, so it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was just starting out, so like I wasn't really good at that time. No. I remember having a bit of a meltdown because I obviously really wanted to work with this band and I wanted the first song to really impress them. So we recorded it and I mixed it the first time round and I was like, no, I'm not happy with this. Like, came back to the mix and then had my little meltdown where you're like, this isn't good enough, I'm gonna have to restart. So I mixed it then twice, completely all the way through. And I was happy with the second mix. So then when it then went on to get played on Radio 1, I was like, I'm so glad. Yeah. I, sat down and was just like, no, this isn't where it needs to be. I'm starting again. But
that's probably why, you're doing so well and people know that you're good, and you have won Producer of the Year 3 times. I'm going to mention it again because it's that going back and attention to detail, not just saying, oh, I'm just going to record, you're just going to turn everything on and then that's it, lads, off you go. It's not how it works, is it?
Not for me anyway. Because I've always been that, like, I have my own benchmark, and if I don't hit that, then I'm not happy with it, and then I don't want it to go out. Like, if my name's going to go on it, I want it to be as good as it can possibly be. So I don't care if I have to start again 2 times, 3 times. I need to get it to the level where it needs to be in my head. Yeah.
Now, going back to something you said before, you said when you first got your guitar, even though you could play just one chord, you were starting to write songs. So have you been writing songs ever since then? So like you were 9, 10 or whatever?
I can only remember like having an interest in original music, and even now, like, I'll pick up a guitar. I've never really been interested in learning other people's songs. So when opportunities have been function bands or play on cruise ships came around, I was like, that's just not my cup of tea, because whenever I pick up a guitar or any instrument, the first thing I start doing is just like twiddling around, and I just want to write music. Like, melodies sort of just come to you, you put notes together, and that's my main interest. I'm not really interested in learning other people's songs. So that's why when a singer-songwriter brings a song to me or I'm working with a band, ideas are always flowing. Yeah. When you're in the studio with a band, it's like, oh, what about you try this? What if you try that? I think it's made me more creative, just, always experimenting, like every time I pick up an instrument.
Well, it's perfect for being a producer as well, because you're not going to be stuck to one.
Yeah, there is no real recipe, especially if that's the thing, if I'd have stuck with piano, I feel like piano players, they know music theory very quickly and it all makes sense to them. They almost have rules in a way. It's like if you're classically trained on any instrument, you sort of see that training as the rules and like the fences that you have to like, oh, if we're playing that chord, it's obvious that we'll go to that chord next. But I've never been interested in that way of writing or learning music. So it's just whatever sounds right to me.
And that, horses for courses, isn't it? So, when a classically trained person plays with an orchestra or plays, in a big concert hall, they've got to do it right because everyone else is exactly knowing. Yeah. But if you're, sometimes they really struggle to do anything then creative because
they've learned to do it that one way. Yeah.
Creative isn't probably the right word because they are doing something creative, but to use their imagination, do something else, and they're like you said, they don't want to break the rules because you can't put a clashing chord in there because that's going to sound, it's going to sound really crunchy, and that's what we want for that sound or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned also about going into bands and things. When was your first band then?
I was in year 8 or year 9 of secondary school, so I would have been, I think, around 13. So I moved to Graffham with my mum and brother, and I started getting the school bus to Hinchinbrook from Graffham, and there was some older lads in the village on the bus that they were interested in music as well. Like, one of the guys, Max, played guitar, the other guy in the village called Ben played drums, and they wanted to start doing something, so they'd started jamming, just the 2 of them, that they didn't have a band yet. So they saw me take my guitar on the bus to school, and they're like, "Oh, do you play guitar? Do you have lessons?" I was like, "Yeah, I have lessons." They were like, "Do you want to come round Ben's house tonight for a jam?" So then I went round, and I had no band experience at that time. I'd literally basically only knew what my guitar teacher had taught me at that point. So then we just went round Ben's house. Max taught me some songs on the guitar, and then we were jamming straight away. So that was my first band. We were called In Need of Therapy. And then even back then.
And how old were you?
I was 13.
I love that you were called In Need of Therapy at 13. That's brilliant.
And then so we played like village gigs, like village fetes. We even there was a village hall in Grapham, and we'd like rent it out, put all the tables out as a stage, like duct tape them together, and then like invite all our mates round and like put a gig on at the village hall.
I mean, that's the shape of things to come, isn't it? You know, that's that. If you want it from that age, that's all you see. Did you do anything though with the songs that you were writing, or were you just mainly like jamming them yourself from like when you're early? Did you bring in those into your bands?
The early set? Yeah. So we wrote 2 or 3 original songs. It wasn't enough for a whole set. So then back then we didn't have a clue about recording. Like we had these like 4-track Boss recorder things where you'd plug your guitar in. You wouldn't. I don't even think we had a click track at this point. We bought this like Boss 4-track recorder. You plug in, you record one thing on one track, and then you got a fader. So like the level of that is that loud. Then you record the bass, and then you've got the fader on that. And then if you wanted
everything the same.
Almost like you could. You could change the level of each piece, but then because you've only got 4 tracks available, so you record your 4 things. Say we've got drums recorded with 1 microphone on that track, then bass, then 1 guitar, then the other guitar. Right, we've used up our 4 tracks. Now what do? You bounce those 4 tracks down onto the first track, and then you've got 3 tracks available. I mean, it was a mission, and we had no idea what we were doing, but we tried our best. And so we had early demos. And we played like the concerts at school and stuff like that. We did what we could with what we had available and what knowledge we had available, which was not very much.
And did you think back in those days, was there any influences in music? Were you listening to stuff that you liked? What did you have anything that you particularly liked at the time? Nothing is guilty or anything like that. I can see you laughing already.
Well, so we had these 2 or 3 original songs in the set, and then I think like the rest of the set was Green Day.
Oh yeah. Just
because Green Day was sort of easy to learn but very fun to play, and obviously American Idiot, the album, was absolutely massive at this point. Like you couldn't turn on one of the music channels and Green Day not be on it. Like American Idiot was everywhere, so like the rest of the set we knew like 10 Green Day songs. So even though I did say I've not been interested in learning other people's songs, we had a set to fill out, and we liked Green Day. Yeah, so it was basically our songs and Green Day songs.
I mean, good choice. I remember I must have seen Green Day around that time of that in Wembley or somewhere, and they were superb at the time. They were. The songs still are
massive for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So from there then, was there a time? So you said you played with that. Did you carry on with that band up till like you left for uni, or did you?
In different iterations.
Right.
Yeah. So, In Need of Therapy probably lasted 2 years, and then the older lads were then like around 6th form age. So the band got a bit more serious. We changed names a number of times, had new members come in, had new other members leave, etc., etc. So then it sort of transformed into Satellite to Nowhere, and I was in that band for a while. So we played the Junction Fiver back when I was like 16. So almost, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago I was playing the Junction Fiver, and it's still going now, which is awesome to see. I was at a Junction Fiver like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it is brilliant. I think it's one of the best things that this area does for young artists, and to give you play on J1. I mean, you can't really beat that,
awesome experience. I remember it even back then. Just like, and backstage you see all the people that have signed the walls and the stickers everywhere. It's like, oh my goodness, they played here, and now we're about to play the same stage. It's like so inspiring and so motivating.
And when you go to see a gig there for somebody you're standing in the thing thinking, I was up there.
Yeah, and imagine that at like 15, 16, 17 years old, like, I played that stage last week, and now I'm seeing like one of my favourite bands on there.
So apart from Green Day, did you have anyone else, or was it just because that was band led that you were listening to them?
I mean, pop punk sort of Green Day music is probably what I was listening to most around that time.
Yeah.
It was always guitar-driven music. Paramore, Jimmy Eat World, they're some of my favourite bands even now. So I still feel like I'm inspired by the same bands that I was then almost now, like the Killers. So all the way through my like production work and my music career, I've had my favourite bands and they've always inspired me, and the production on their records have inspired me all the way through, and then, you know, new bands come and go. Yeah.
Now, you said that you went off to uni at 18, and you said before that you did your music GCSE, which you said was boring. Now, why was that boring? Because you had to just do what was said?
Yeah, because GCSE music was all about like classical music and Baroque music, and it wasn't really about modern music at all.
No.
So, and it was almost also more like theory based, like, oh, when was this music popular, or if we mention Baroque music, what time period was that from? And it's like, it wasn't at all about writing and playing original music, really. So like my one interest, and I felt like I knew from, you know, a young age that I was passionate about music and that's what I wanted to pursue. So it just made sense that I'd do music GCSE. And then when I was in that class, I was like, why am I taking this? Why am I here? I'm not interested in this stuff. But, you know, it still gives you a basis and some knowledge.
Yeah, looking back, I guess. You know, not the time, but maybe looking back. But then you went on to do, is it music technology?
Yeah, music technology.
A-level.
In A-level, yeah.
Which is probably...
Maybe they wouldn't have let me do that if I hadn't done music GCSE. So you probably have to get like a pass grade in music GCSE to do
at least
another music course at A-level. So maybe I'm glad I did it. And then that was just when I got so interested in music production and music technology, because like the older lads that I was in a band with from my village, they'd gone off to Cambridge Regional College to do music technology.
Oh yeah.
So like we were still going round each other's houses after school / college to record, you know, our little demos.
Had you moved up from the 4-track by this point?
So they'd got like some Sony Acid recording software on their computer that they'd like hacked from somewhere.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. Yeah,
we won't talk about that. They'd got some recording software from somewhere, and then we're just working it out as we go along. But because obviously they were getting taught music technology at college, they had a better understanding than I did. So, you know, they were funneling stuff down to me, teaching me almost as we did it, like, this is what I'm doing to record this is what I'm doing to record that. And then around 16, 17, someone at where my mum worked was selling a MacBook.
Oh,
and she was like, you know, my work colleague is selling this MacBook, would it be good for your, you know, recording music? I was like, yes, absolutely. Because at that point my friends had moved on to Logic, which is you can only use on an Apple device. So they were using Logic at college. So I'd seen them using Logic. I was like, if I get a MacBook, then I can get Logic and I can start recording. And as soon as I got that laptop, it was just, I was constantly.
And so were you using that for your A-level?
Yeah.
Could you use that? So that's
which almost backfired in a way, because the A-level course was based on Cubase, and I'd become so proficient with Logic already from just being on Logic the entire time. It got to the exam, because I'd done all my coursework on Logic as well, so like I knew Logic really well even back then. I'm still on Logic now, because people did say like, why haven't you moved to Pro Tools, because that's like the industry standard. But I was so quick on Logic, and I just knew my way around Logic so well that I still use it now. But it came to the final A-level exam on Cubase, and I just realised in that exam, from like the first question, I was like, I shot myself in the foot here.
Oh no!
Like, I know how to do all this stuff so quickly on Logic, and then I was just having like, right, I'm just gonna have to take the principles from Logic and work my way around Cubase. Like, it must be here somewhere. But I can remember just sat there sweating because I did not know Cubase well enough to be, you know, sitting that exam.
And the stupid thing about all of the things with exams is, it does matter because you need to then use that to go on to something else. But in life, it didn't matter because you're going to be always using the other system
software,
anyway. But these hurdles that, you know, the system has put in for everybody, it kind of drives me nuts sometimes. same way with grades. I always think, like, if you choose not to do grades when you're learning an instrument, it's great. You can have, and then you get to college and they say, well, what grades are you on? And we say, well, I don't do grades. Oh, well, you can't come in then, really. You know, like, how can we can't judge you then to say, not that they couldn't just get you to play something or do something. So anyway, that's my personal gripe on that.
Yeah, I was lucky actually when I got good enough grades to go to university and get into the course that I wanted. And
you went into a music course, didn't you?
Yeah, I did commercial music, and at the time there was only 2 universities offering that course, because I was going to take a gap year because I wasn't sure which road of music I wanted to go down. I knew I loved recording music, but I also loved being in a band and I loved playing guitar. So I thought maybe at the time, maybe I'll be a session musician, or maybe I'm don't know enough about music technology yet to go to university, so maybe I need to do a year at CRC to do music technology. Then the price of university was going up the next year. I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I better do it now. So yeah, there was only 2. My best friend Oscar told me about this course, commercial music, that he'd applied to, and when I looked into it, it was like, it had a basis of all the music industry. You didn't have to specialise in production, you didn't have to specialise in performance until the final year when you've worked out what you want to do. But it also did music business, lyric writing, aesthetics, and styling your own band, styling yourself, coming up with an image. It almost covered everything. I was like, this sounds great.
And that was at Bath Spa?
Yeah, so I ended up going to Bath Spa, but the other one was in Westminster.
Oh, right.
So I got interviews at both of them, and I was lucky enough to get into both of them. I had my choice at that point. But so I went to the Westminster interview first, and my mum drove me there, and I was obviously really, really nervous.
Yeah.
And we pulled off the road up to this building, which I obviously thought was the university at this point. But turns out it was a hospital, and it was a really run down. I'm not even sure if it was still there was still patients going in there, but it looked like this really run down, dark, dingy building. I was like, I'm not coming to university here. Luckily the campus was actually behind that university and it was really nice. But then I went to my interview at Bath Spa, which the campus is 3 or 4 miles outside of Bath, and Bath itself is absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
It has a very similar vibe to Cambridge.
Yeah.
It's clean, there's limestone, it's very safe.
Yeah.
But the campus is 3 miles outside of the centre, and it's just surrounded by fields and cows. So I pulled up to my interview then, I was like, this feels like home. Growing up in Little Catworth, where there's 4 houses in the middle of nowhere surrounded by fields, I was like, yeah, this is my sort of thing. So I ended up choosing Bath Spa.
And so you did 3 years there, and then so it sounds like a really interesting course, and almost why isn't everybody that in music doing even bits of this, so that you can do a bit of business? Because I think some of those other things, if you are a musician, singer-songwriter or in a band, you want to do that, and then life is the bit that's the really hard bit about business and styling and all of those things.
Absolutely.
You just mentioned, getting produced and knowing what you want to ask a producer or whatever. So sounds like a brilliant course. Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I did really enjoy it. It gave you the freedom because it the first year they sort of what would you say, touched on all of these subjects. And then it gets a little bit more refined in the second year. And then by the time you get to the third year, you should they want you to know which avenue you want to go down. So you do your final year project in the third year on either performance or production. So at that point, I knew from the second year, because during the second year, one of the best parts of the second year was you form a band in the first year. So you form your bands, and you can be in multiple bands, but the second year you have to pinpoint down to which band you want to spend that year on, and you write 5 songs, you record an EP yourselves in the university studios, and then you go out on tour, and they show you how to book a tour, promote a tour, and you actually go out on the tour as part of the course. But being in the studio in the second year, recording our EP that we'd written, that's when I really fell in love with being in the studio and became completely obsessed with it. So when it came to specialising in the third year in production, you're supposed to only be allowed to book a certain amount of time in the studios each week, but because lots of people were doing it at home on their in their uni halls on their computers, there was loads of free time in the studio, so my name was always popping up, like, and it got to the point where like, well, you're only really technically allowed 2 hours, but no one's booked it, so Jake, do you want these like 6 hours in the studio? I was like, yes. I just spent so much time in the university studios because I became
well, the equipment and everything as well.
Yeah, absolutely, it was amazing.
You might as well. Now, I realise we've been talking for a long time, and I'd love to get on to the video that you've chosen to play. Now, tell us about this. This is when you were with Tom Lumley and the Brave Liaison. Yeah,
so I came out of university, did the studio for probably, I'd had the studio up and running 2 or 3 years before my mate Jason said, oh, I've got a friend called Tom. I'd actually seen Tom play a gig or 2 before this point, and I'd given him a business card for the studio. So,
and was that when he was sort of, I'm doing this like I'm knucker, like I play guitar. Was that when he was doing sort of more singer-songwriter stuff, or was he in a band by then?
He had a band.
Right.
But then when he had written and recorded an EP, and he wanted to tour that EP, and the rest of his band at the time were going down the function band route, and wanted to make money out of music, which is fair enough. So he wanted to find another band that were willing to go down the original music route and go out on tour that he'd booked. So he asked my friend Jason to play guitar, and asked Jason, do you know any drummers? And he was like, oh, my mate Jake can sort of play drums. So I was originally meant to be the drummer, and then Jason decided that he had a family and he couldn't commit to doing this tour. So Tom was like, Jake, do you know any guitarists? I was like, well, actually, I'm more of a guitarist and I would much rather play guitar. Yeah. So that's what I didn't even do one band practice on the drums. Getting onto the song.
So that's how you met.
That's Tom, how I met Tom.
And you were straight out on tour.
Almost, yeah. Basically, we had like 1 or 2 band practices. We then shot a music video for one of the songs on the EP, and like at this point, we'd not really even met each other. I think we met Billy, the bass player, at that video shoot. We'd all learnt our parts. We turned up at this video shoot. I think me, Johnny, the drummer, and Tom had 1 band practice in his parents' living room before this music video. We all met at this music video, and then further down the line, it started out as Tom Lumley because the EP was his, he'd written and recorded it. Then we gelled more as a band. We were like then writing music as a band together. So it became Tom Lumley and the Brave Liaison in order to represent it as a band, because if you see, Tom Lumley on a poster, everyone thinks singer-songwriter, whereas we'd moved very much into being a band at this point. So Tom and the rest of us wanted it to be known as a band. Yeah. So it became Tom Lumley, the Brave Liaison, and we got invited to Maida Vale to do a live session for BBC Introducing, which was one of the best experiences of my life. Yeah. Being obsessed with music production and studios, and then going to a studio like that. I am not good at getting up in the morning, but we had to wake up at like 5:30, and we'd all stay around Tom's parents' house so we could all leave at the right time. Tom's said this many times since, that he's never seen me in such a good mood at that time in the morning, and we've been on so many tours together now. I jumped out of bed like a kid at Christmas. Yeah. I absolutely loved the whole day. So that was meant to be filmed for BBC Introducing, but BBC's cameraman wasn't available to come to Maida Vale that day. No. So we had to also almost source our own videographer, and that's when someone mentioned Sam Lance, who was well up for it, came to Maida Vale that day. That's the first time we'd really met him. And then after the session, we get back to Tom's parents' house and said, oh, we've just recorded this single, Casual, and we're thinking about doing a music video. And Sam, with his creative videographer, video producer mind, looks around this house like, we could do a music video in this house, and we could do it like a one shot where the camera follows you around the house. And we were like, that sounds awesome. We just let him ride with it. Tom's parents were gracious enough to let us use the brand new house. They'd not even been in the house very long. No. And then I'm not sure whether they knew we were going to be climbing on tables and throwing ourselves around. And
probably best they didn't know beforehand.
They went out for the day, and we spent that entire day shooting this music video that like Sam had storyboarded out. We all had, because it was a one shot, the camera does follow us all around, and when the camera isn't on you, you're moving to your next position around the house. So there was a lot to remember. There was many positions around the house.
Did you ever trip over the cameras?
Luckily not. I mean, someone did trip over, and the one thing that Tom's parents said before they went out is like, look, we're happy for you to use the house for this music video. The chandelier in the living room is quite expensive. Please just avoid that at all costs. And because it was a one-take video, it all had to go right in that one take. There was no cutting the camera and starting again. So like, if any mistakes happened during the take, well, you either start again or you just see it through. So I remember us doing about 17 takes of this one video. And I think we then went back to like take 11 because that was the best one. But right on like the final take or the penultimate take, Johnny the drummer runs into the chandelier and knocks a whole piece off it, which shatters on the floor, and we're all trying to keep a straight face because we know A, we can't ruin this take, but B, we're in trouble now because we've just smashed the chandelier. Anyway, so yeah, let's play the video.
So it's Tom Lumley in the Liaison.
Tom Lumley
You can see, you got to get them right now.
And the song is called Casual. And this is one of the earliest ones we did once we became Tom Lumley and the Brave Liaison.
We're leaving it as it's casual. Let's talking about it, it's simple. We're trying to disguise the issue. You want something more than this because you're hasty. And I don't think that you realize that you're hasty. I've been seeing signs, red flags are popping up all the time. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a sign of the times, we won't let it out. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a conversation we could do without. We better leaving it as it's casual. We won't talk it out, it's simple. And we're best off ignoring the issue. Yet you're still wanting more than this because you're hasty. And I don't think that you realize that you're hasty. And I've been seeing signs, red flags are propping up all the time. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a sign of the times, we won't let it out. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a conversation we could do without. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a sign of the times, we won't let it out. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a conversation we could do without. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a sign of the times, we won't let it out. It's something we don't talk about, it's just a conversation we could do without.
So that was Casual then, and it's an amazing one take. Although you said you did it 17 times for the one take.
Yeah, so we did it about 17 times, and because the house is all hard floors, the tables, the kitchen counters are all like white marble sort of material, and we obviously couldn't have our shoes on because we were climbing on tables on kitchen sides.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, I remember my feet being in excruciating pain just from like
you don't
jumping up and down and foot stomping on this hard ground the entire day. Oh, my feet hurt so much. But it's still we did so many like awesome videos with Sam because he's very creative, and he'll take the song, listen to the lyrics, and like almost storyboard it in his head. Like he knows which shots where. He's so good at his job. But we've done so many videos over the years that we were together as a band, but that is still probably my favourite, just because the way it came together on the day, just the fun we had doing it, the story about the chandelier smashing,
and probably because it was one of your first, that you weren't aware of all the things that could have gone wrong, or like all the things that have to be thought about when you're doing all that stuff.
Like,
so
it was one of our first music videos, so we were all like gung-ho excited to make a music video.
Yeah.
All the pressure was on Sam, really, because like he'd storyboarded it. It was his idea, so if it didn't work, it was on him.
Yeah,
we were just like all having a great time, just like pretending to play this song in the house.
So before we go on to looking at all your producer work now, which, as you know, you've hinted at that was the bit where you found your place. With Tom and the Brave Liaison, you did some amazing things, didn't you? And then you became Brave Liaison.
Yeah.
Do you have any Made of Ale you've just mentioned, and I think I saw you, I think it was probably 2 years ago, at the alternative Great Escape.
Yeah, we played
really fun.
We played the Alt Escape. I'm pretty sure we played the Great Escape at one point as well. We played so many festivals. We played Isle of Wight twice. We played.
I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah, that was awesome for this feeling. Cause like we got in with this feeling, and they were giving us some awesome gigs, mainly that. And so we did Isle of Wight twice for this feeling. We also did Truck Festival once.
They're all big festivals,
twice.
Aren't they?
Yeah. And Camden Rocks, Festival. We did so many cool festivals, but we also toured Europe and played like Germany.
And how did it all go down there?
Oh, Europe was like an out of this world experience, because if you play a gig here, even if you're the headline band, if you're lucky to get like a crate of beer and a sausage roll. Out in Europe, like every venue was like fully catered. There was like 3-course meal at every venue. All the snacks, all the drinks, like they take your rider and they go above and beyond to like give you everything. And we were just like a little support band, but we were the only support band on that tour supporting a band from Finland called Poets of the Fall, who we didn't know at the time, we were clearly massive all around Europe. So we turned up for the first show in Berlin, and it's they were all like 800 to 1,000 cap venues. And we didn't know what to expect. This is our first show outside of the UK, and we're used to playing to, 50 people in a 200 cap room, if we're lucky, if we're travelling it. I mean, we sell out our hometown shows and our London shows, but if we were going somewhere like Scotland, we'd play to about 30 people. So we'd driven all the way over to Berlin, and we were in that van for so long, getting over there. And then we get to this first venue, and there's a spread from the catering. Like, I had meatballs and spaghetti on the first day. I was like, I can get used to this. But we didn't know what to expect from the show. We knew it was an 800 cap venue, and we're the only support band, so we didn't know whether it's going to be like the UK, where nobody turns up for the first band on. We walk out on that stage, and the venue is packed. Everyone's in there. Like, literally, you couldn't see any floor whatsoever, and we were like, well, it's now or never, boys. We've all got to show them what we're made of. We walk out, and the show was amazing, because like walking out, and this is a bigger venue than we were even playing back at home, and it's sold out, and everyone's in the room. We're like, this is awesome. But the German crowds were very different to, like, back home we would get moshing, people throw each other around, and like it all gets a bit rowdy. The German crowd, like, they were intently listening, like everyone was stood there like,
oh really?
Yeah. And
so I always thought it might be more.
We'd finish a song and everyone would go and then boom, hands down, they're waiting for the next song. So it was like a culture shock in a way, because we couldn't just be like, yeah, come on guys, get the circle pit going, because everyone was just like, good. But yeah, every show on that tour.
And did it change as you went to different places around Europe?
Yeah,
so then you didn't know what to expect at every place.
But the German shows are a bit like that. Poland had a bit more. They were throwing themselves around a bit more than that. I have such a bad memory. I don't remember all the places. Germany, Poland.
Sign of a good rock star. You can't actually remember.
Graz. But yeah, we played, I think, 8 or 9 shows in different places. There was like 2 in Germany, 2 in Poland, in different places. But every one of them, it finished in Budapest. Budapest was the last show we played, and it was almost a strange, like, outdoorish kind of venue. It wasn't outdoor, but it was like this big, in a way, like, you know, we have those greenhouses over here that people grow plants in, and they're like circular, like
polytunnels.
Covered in plastic. Yeah, polytunnels. It was like that, but made out of metal. It was like a huge polytunnel made out of metal. So we're like, this venue isn't quite as fancy as the other ones, but the people of Budapest were well up for it. Again, sold out. We walked out, and we were really in our flow by this point. Like, we didn't, by the last show of the tour, we were just like, oh, we know what we're doing now. Whether the crowd respond to us or not, we're gonna go and put on our show anyway. But Budapest were well up for it. Like, people were throwing each other around, cheering. There was so much
it really
energy in the
hot
room.
though in a metal?
Yeah, it was very hot.
I was gonna say,
it was
imagine,
very hot.
Horrible.
But it was such a great show, and like they'd even made the promoter, like, the catering at the venue had made a cake, and this lady makes a cake for all the bands that headline there, and the cake has the tour poster on like top of it in icing. So then there was our like band name on this tour poster cake. Brilliant. Like, the way we got looked after, it was just unbelievable. And like I can still remember, like, my memory's terrible, but I remember like almost every piece of that tour, just because I was just taking it all in and like loving it.
And then you all decided, for whatever reason, that you weren't going to carry on, and you did the best farewell gig at the junction,
back at home junction. And also,
how was that? Was it? I mean, I know it was. I was there.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was a brilliant gig until you remembered that was going to be the last one, and I know that you lot were all getting quite emotional as well as we were, and it must be a really hard thing in a way to do that. Right, we're going to go do the best show, but also we know that this isn't going to be.
Yeah, I was actually dreading it on the run up to it, knowing it was the last one, because it almost in a way didn't feel real. We'd been a band for 8 years, I think, and we'd done all these amazing things. But you know, when people say about the lucky break, we'd had things where it looked like it was about to happen. And not to hark back too much, but we got, you know, that Maid of Vale session and at the end of 2019. That EP did really well, like all of the songs that got Radio 1. And then at the start of 2020, Hugh Stevens played Casual from that Maid of Vale session on his show. And we were named as like one of the ones to watch for 2020. And then what happened a couple months later?
That was the problem, wasn't it? I think that's the problem, the killer for a lot of things.
Yeah, for a lot of things. Like, we're not salty about it, because we came back. No. We made up the best of it. We did online live sessions and stuff like that. We wrote, our album during the COVID time as well. But we came back, did awesome things. But we felt like maybe that was the year it was going to snowball, and we were going to take that next level, and it didn't quite pan out the way we hoped. So and then that, in a way, that lucky break never quite came.
And that's what it is sometimes, isn't it? It's the difference between when a band makes it or not makes it is because maybe someone was in the venue at the time that happened to be it, and that's what it is. It's not to say that all the bands, those bands that don't get that lucky break aren't absolutely brilliant and wouldn't have done really well. That's what I find very hard about music, and things like that. That everyone playing at grassroots level is, a lot of them are really, really good. Yeah, and you've got to remember why you got into it in the first place. If you get too wrapped up in the business of it, or I've got to post TikToks every day, even though I hate it and I don't enjoy it. If you get too wrapped up and too bogged down with the stuff you don't enjoy about it, you forget that you started playing a band because you love being in a band. So I was dreading it. We announced that we were splitting in October. We booked the show, the farewell show, for March, and we then had 2 or 3 months where we weren't practicing, and I was like, I just really miss band practice. And I've missed band practice since, really. I've done a
since the band ended, I've done a few fill-in shows for other bands just because I wanted to get back in band practice. I wanted to like play guitar again, and I'm starting up something new with Tom now. We're in the very early stages of starting up a new band.
Excellent.
But going back to that last show, I was dreading it up to the run-up, knowing that like it was the last one and it was going to be emotional. But on the day, and especially when we got out on stage, I didn't feel emotional or sad at all. Like the adrenaline kicked in, and I just almost had like, the best show ever.
Well, of course, especially if you hadn't been doing much practice, to suddenly be back and thinking this is the best thing again.
Exactly.
Until you remember that you're not going to be doing it.
We came back for the first band practice after like 2 or 3 months after announcing that we were ending, and we came back for that first band practice. We like played a couple songs, and we all looked at each other like,
what are we doing?
oh, we are good. But at that point, we'd already announced it.
You could have put in brackets, not really. Didn't you see the little bit at the bottom that said not really?
Just a hiatus, maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of people that do farewell gigs and do farewell tours and then appear a few years later. But you did hit on a point there saying why you're doing it. You're doing it because of the love of music, but that doesn't always pay your rent and everything else. And that's the other thing I find is very sad, is that sometimes it's you having to find a job that you can balance your music with.
Yeah, and that is tough.
And that's not always easy. And so sometimes those jobs aren't there. So you have to say, well, something has to go. I
mean, I'm very lucky because obviously I work for myself. I do music production in the studio full time. So if I need to book a day off or an evening off for a show, or even a week off, I can plan my schedule around that week. Whereas the other boys have full-time jobs and they're taking their holiday time.
And there's only so much you can take.
To tour. Yeah. And then it gets a little bit tough on, their partners who also want to go on holiday, but they've used all their holiday time to tour with the band. So like it became just a balancing act, and then taking the right amount of time off for them so they can still live their lives whilst also doing the band. We just put so much into the band that it was almost like having another full-time job, because we were really hungry for it. We really wanted it. But then when you go over the edge of the cliff and you sort of think maybe that break isn't going to come, that lucky break isn't going to come, and we've put everything we can into this up to this point, maybe it's just time to call it. I mean, I would have carried on for the love of it, but
well, it looks like maybe this time something.
Yeah, because I knew Tom would miss it.
Well, that's it. I think sometimes you need to walk away.
Exactly that. Have the break.
And then say, oh, actually, I remember now what it was that I really loved about it. Because if you fall out of love with the whole process, like you say, the TikToks and the social media and this is good for content. I mean, we didn't have that word content back at 10 years ago. People weren't saying, oh, have you got that's good for content,
when the real rock stars are making it.
Exactly. So we do need to move on a little bit now. I could talk about this forever, and it's wonderful, but you are producing now, and I will ask you more about future plans, but we've just said about you've been doing your studio for just over 10 years now.
Yeah, 11 years.
11 years. Now, if we go, are there people throughout that 10 years that you said you've carried on with the Rose Fair quite a lot?
Yeah.
And are there other people that you've carried on with, and who are the newer ones that you've started to produce?
Unfortunately, because I'm very fortunate and blessed to have been able to do this for the last 11 years, I've seen many good bands come and unfortunately go. Like, there's been many young bands, like the Rose Fair as one of them, that have so much promise.
Yeah.
Among the Citizens were another one where you just think, this band have all the pieces to really do it, but then because they're young, the next step is university and they go to different places.
Yeah.
I've seen so many good bands, unfortunately this band, before they got their lucky break, because life leads you in different directions. So I've worked with so many people over those 11 years, not even just from the Cambridgeshire area, like people have travelled from Coventry, London, Birmingham, Edinburgh.
How do you find producing people then that you haven't really known about before that get in contact? Is it word of mouth mainly? How do people hear about you?
It's always been word of mouth really, and social media, mainly Instagram, like especially in the early days. Like I thought, because I'd done music at school. I'd done music at university. I thought like, I know enough musicians. I know enough musicians. If I go home after uni and build a studio, you know, build it and they will come.
Exactly.
That's exactly the mentality I had. And then realised like, maybe people aren't gonna like drive from Bath or Bristol to come and record in the middle of nowhere. So you know, the first few years were a bit slow, and it was mainly local acts. But every one I recorded, most of the time, even now, you know, I work with someone for the first time and they come back again and again. So it's a lot of repeat business, and also word of mouth. Like they'll tell their friends. That's a
really good testament to what you do, because repeat business is always what a business wants to be.
Absolutely.
Because then they're like, oh, if they don't like it, they're not going to come back. If they weren't happy, they're going to look elsewhere. And there's so much made of AI now. I'm not even going to talk about it particularly, but I can just do it at home in my bedroom, and this is self-produced. But you're not. For one, I always think you're not having that critical eye from somebody else that's listening to it. That isn't you. It's like when you read your own things, you can't really tell what it's like. So I think it's really important to have someone that's separate and knows what they're doing.
And there's a lot to be said for collaboration as well. Like not every good idea in the studio is my idea either, but like something someone tries or plays just as an idea can spark another idea. So then you know, you're throwing ideas around the studio and you come up with something that never would have happened if had that moment, that little spark not happened, which triggered an idea in that person's mind, which then was formulated between everybody else. And then
So would you say, when people come to you and say, right, I want something produced, I want to start my EP, I've got it all here, I've got it, you know, either themselves playing something or they've got their band, do you then sort of encourage them to do a bit of, let's play all this and then let's just see where this goes a bit more? Yeah,
I always try to get demos or rough recordings, like live recording videos from band practice beforehand, so that I get a taster of where the song and where the band is at, what sound they're aiming for. Like if they have references like, oh, we like the drum sound of this band, or we like the guitar tones of that band, and we're really inspired by these bands, then I can formulate that all into one melting pot, and like I know what they're going for. So like I'll listen to this stuff, so that when it comes down to recording, I have a good idea of, and also what their aspirations are, where they want the song to land. Like if they want it to go on radio, but their main single, their lead single is 6 minutes long or 5.5 minutes long, I'm like, guys, we're going to have to cut this down because radio do not want a 5-minute song.
Correct.
So that's sometimes a little bit of a tricky conversation. I'm like, but man, this is just the way it feels best. I'm like, look, we'll record the full version if you want.
And you have the radio.
Let me do the radio edit. And then they're like, oh, actually it works better like that anyway. So yeah, there's always experimentation on the day, even if they have a set idea in their mind, like, let's just try this. And you just throw a few ideas around, and they're like, oh, actually I really like the way that's going, or the way that's sounding.
Yeah. Now, let's move on to one of the other tracks that you've just quite recently recorded, and I think this is Melody Coles. Now, she's been recording a few things with you now, but you say I think this was the first one she recorded with you.
We've recently done a 4-track EP, which she's released as singles. I think maybe she's putting out as an EP, but predating that, the first one we did together was called Is It Just Me, and it was the first time me and Melody had worked together. Her dad Brian came to the studio as well. Mando Dad is what I call him, because he plays mandolin.
Oh, excellent.
And we just had a really great day. Like me and Melody are quite similar as people, so we get on really, really well. And this is the first one we recorded together, and it got like BBC Introducing Track of the Week. So we were buzzing with that. And because my bread and butter work, I would say, is like rock and indie, being folk and Americana. I've done bits of it, like bands like Fred's House come to me. But yeah, mandolin and cello. I've not recorded a cello since I was at university. So and the song has Simon playing cello on it, Melody on acoustic guitar and vocals, and her dad on mandolin. And it just came together really nicely. And I like recording different stuff as well, so it was nice to...
It's a challenge for you, isn't it?
It was a challenge in a way. Like every time something new comes to the studio that I've not done before, I know the benchmark. I know how it needs to sound,
Yeah.
even if I don't know the best way to get it.
And that's what I think other people don't. Well, some people may not always realise that, like, each instrument, the way you mic it up or whatever is going to be completely different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like you were laughing about one mic for drums.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not going to happen when you're recording them properly.
Yeah, exactly. So like back when we started, like we only had one microphone and one track, but now I'm using like 16 microphones on a drum kit, and yeah, YouTube tutorials will only go so far. So it's like I had to record bagpipes when Lost Robins came and recorded their songs with me, and I'd never recorded bagpipes. So I went on YouTube like how to record bagpipes, and the first video I got was it said how to record bagpipes. Don't.
Yeah, I was going to say about that.
Right, well I'm on my own here with this. Then I'm just going to make it up.
Yeah.
So what you do as a recording engineer, I mean, you pick up experience recording different instruments as you go. So now, because I've been doing it 11 years, you get an idea of like the sound comes out of the instrument from this hole or whatever.
Yeah.
So you just pick the right microphone, the right type of microphone for that instrument, and you place it closer or further away. So you can experiment, and it's trial and error.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're going to play Melody's song now?
Yeah, Is It Just Me?
It's been freezing in my mind for months. Surely by now we know we've got ghosts. We turn our back to the mirror, and the pain feels less hand delivered. Hand delivered. Hand delivered. I swear there's someone controlling the rain right now. Is it just me or is nothing the same right now? And I don't know where to shift my blame right now. It's pouring, can't stand it. Tell me that things change somehow. They're gonna change somehow. And I don't know how you sleep with such a bitter taste. And those people whose voices you took could take your place. I don't know the right words to say when we all stand together and look the other way, look the other way, look the other way. I swear there's someone controlling the rain right now. Is it just me or is nothing the same right now? And I don't know where to shift my blame right now. It's pouring, can't stand it. Tell me that things change somehow. Tell me it changes. Tell me it changes. I swear there's someone controlling the rain right now. Is it just me or is nothing the same right now? And I don't know where to shift my blame right now. It's pouring, can't stand it. Tell me that things change somehow. Change somehow.
So that was Melody Coles and Is It Just Me? And you've done some more. So I think she's been releasing them, hasn't she? Sort of,
I think she's released all the ones we've done now. But she did message me not too long ago about booking in again, so there's more to come. She's always writing, and she's always posting her demos on TikTok. So
yeah, and I think she's back into
the swing of it, which is nice to see.
Yeah,
she's
definitely.
very talented and got a beautiful voice.
Yes. Who would you like to produce? If you could produce anyone, who would you like to produce, like in the world?
In the world.
I mean, I could say dead or alive, but I think let's just go with people that are alive. If you had the chance to produce somebody.
Oh, it'd be Paramore every day of the week.
That's
like Paramore have always been one of my favourite bands, and I love the production and the mixes on all of their albums.
Do you find when you're listening to music that you are listening thinking, hang on, oh yeah, like
yeah, and in a way, I wish I could turn that off, especially when I'm listening to my own work, because if there's even one thing that I feel like, you know, a year down the line when I'm listening to that song, if there's one thing I know I could do better now, that will bug me. And the only time I was saying this to someone I worked with recently, because she said she's going to shoot a music video for the song we did together, and I was like, oh, brilliant, because when I'm watching a music video with a song that I've done, because I'm like immersed in the video, that's almost the only time I'm listening to the song as if it was a song that I didn't produce and mix.
You can step out of it a bit.
Yeah, I hear things in a different way because I'm watching the music video and I'm like immersed in the experience of the video, and I'm actually just hearing the song in a different way and not over-analysing it, because when I listen to almost anything, I mean, it might be slightly different if I really love a song and the melody or the lyrics take me away from from listening to the production or the mix. But most of the time, I'm like, oh, I really like this song because the snare drum sounds great. And then I'm just focused on the snare drum the entire time. I'm like, oh, that guitar tone is so good, or the vocal tone sounds so good. I wish, in a way, I could go back in time to where I was just listening to music before I knew all this stuff and I wasn't analysing.
Yeah, but that's...
But I do appreciate music in a different way now, especially because it's my job. So when I listen to one of my favourite bands, I'm not just listening to the production. It's like I can appreciate it in a different way.
But do you think that then makes you think, oh, I can see now why I like this music because of the way they've done this, that and the other.
Yeah.
But then it can also give you an appreciation of music that you wouldn't say was your genre, or, you know, oh, I'm not really into that type of music, but you can see the production on it, so you can enjoy it in a different way.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
In a way, that's...
Because that's one of the reasons I got into country music, because my uncle, who got me started on keyboard, he's always loved country music, and I, growing up, wasn't really into it. I thought it was, you know, the stories are sometimes a little bit like, they've all got a heartbreak, they've all got a horse, they're all sad on their horse, and they've all got a truck, blah, 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 blah. I was never really into it.
Well, it doesn't really work, it didn't, I mean, the original country didn't really work for this country. Yeah,
true.
Because
exactly
we haven't got the vast spaces and all that.
But my uncle always loved it, and then around when I passed my driving test and I got my first car, and I had a CD player, and I was just looking for like CDs to listen to. He's like, look, I'm going to give you a few country albums, listen to them in your car and see what you think. And this was sort of around the time I was first getting into production and recording my demos at home. And that's when I realised country music in America, well, like especially popular country music, it's almost the pop music over here. It's like the pop music here is produced so shiny and so nice and perfect. That's what a commercial country music is like, especially in when it's in Nashville. Like, they've got the best players, they've got the best studios, they've got the best instruments, they've got the best mixers, best engineers, and it's just like almost in a way as good production and engineering as it can possibly be. So that got me into country, and now I still love country music.
Yeah. I got into country when I was like in my 20s, because again, it's people around you. There was people I knew from one of my first jobs, and they were in a band, and it was like a new country band. And then there was all the new country, what they call new country. I mean, this was 30 years ago. Steve Earle and Nancy Griffith and all these people, which were counted then as new country. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it then. And then that kind of moved me into folk, really, but yeah, seeing and the revival of country, whatever you like to call it, it's having its moment in the pop world at the moment.
Definitely.
And I think it's funny because it's been around like that, and all the country people and people into country Americana, they'll tell you that anyway. That, you know. Yeah,
it's not till Beyonce and Lady Gaga bring country into the mainstream over
everyone
here. Everyone's like, oh, I love country now. I'm like, well, you are all the same people that are taking the mick out of me during second year of university when I blast it out my speakers.
Yeah, and you can see why people that do like country get annoyed, because it's like, you can't just suddenly
jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah. But equally, it's great like all these things, it's you know, some of it is good because it is bringing it into mainstream, but then sometimes you lose some of the authenticity. Perhaps.
But at least, you know, it getting bigger over here means some of the countries. I know there's always been country to country, but
I mean that's getting massive now.
Yeah, it's getting massive over here, and it just means more of the big country artists from America come over here and tour over here because it gets bigger and bigger over here, which is good to see.
Now, if you could tell something to your younger self, you kind of just said then you'd like to go back. That's not really the same question, I guess. Is that what would you tell yourself as that kind of, say, the 14-year-old boy that was in the first bands and you were, you know, playing in the village halls? Have you got any advice, or is there anything, or even for young artists that are starting up now?
I would say, remember why you're doing it, and don't sweat the small stuff too much. Like, there's always going to be parts of it that you don't really enjoy that you have to do. Whether like you love playing the shows, but you don't really like band practice, or you don't really like being in the studio. There's parts of it, you know, if you want to be in a successful band or you want to be a successful artist, there's always going to be parts of it that you don't really enjoy. But just remember why you get into it in the first place, and be present enough to really enjoy those elements that you do enjoy. So then when you are doing the smaller stuff, you know it's all in support of the grand scheme of things and the bigger picture of, like, if you stick at it and you make the best of all the bits that you don't really enjoy, it's all working towards doing the thing that you love, you know, hopefully full time in the future.
Yeah. And when you think of any job, there's always going to be the bits you don't like.
Exactly.
But you forget that when you're doing things like music, and you think, oh, well, it's not fair because you still have to do all this rubbish. You think there's a lot of jobs that are mainly the rubbish and not the good stuff. So
I remind myself that all the time. Like, if there's, you know, I'm editing something and it becomes annoying, or like one piece of software, like one plugin isn't working the way I want it to do, or my computer for some reason is having a slow day and just malfunctioning all the time. I'm like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
And I'm getting really annoyed with some, you know, object. I just remind myself, like, this is actually my dream job. Like, I'm doing something that if I didn't have to make a living and have to, you know, earn money to pay bills, I would do this for free. Because
don't tell them that.
I didn't say that. But yeah, it's been my passion for, you know, at least half of my life. And sometimes you just have to, and I do this all the time, like probably at least once a week or once every other week, I just sit in the studio, I'm like, this is my dream.
Yeah. It's good, isn't it? I think it's good to reflect sometimes and look back and think, hang on, look at this.
Yeah, like that, the hard work or the sleepless nights, because, you know, it wasn't, especially in the early days, you know, I said, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
They didn't.
No,
you know, for 2 or 3, maybe 4 years. I think it took me 5 or 6 years to become full time with it. And on the side of that,
it's like holding your nerve as well. It's like, come on, have the faith and hold your nerve.
Every time I've shook, my mum has been like, look, you're working towards your dream, and like, maybe you don't, you know, earn the same as your friends that have got, you know, other full-time jobs, or maybe you're not doing this or doing that like your friends are doing, but you're building something and you're working towards your dream. And you're loving what you're doing. Exactly. So. And now when I work with, basically everyone says, oh, I'd trade my job in for your job any day of the week. And I'm like, I wonder, maybe you wouldn't if you knew what it took to get here. But at the same time, I do have a lot of people's dream jobs, and they'd love to do something creative like I'm doing every day. So I am very lucky, very fortunate. And you have said, when I've spoken to you before, you said how influential, you know, or how grateful you are to your, you know, your uncle and to your parents and your grandparents as well. So like, my grandparents let me turn their entire garage into a studio. It started out in just like the games room that behind the garage, that started out as the studio, and I split that room into 2. This was the room that, like, my dad and his brothers would play darts in or whatever when they were growing up, and then it turned into like the junk storage room that I would have band practice in with my sixth form bands. So it had a drum kit in and just loads of rubbish from everyone's houses, but we'd have band practice in there. And then I graduated uni and moved home and knew I was going to turn that room into the studio. Like, my grandparents let me have that room, and then couple of years later, I was like, I need a bit more space so I can do like full band stuff and get everyone in the same room and like do live sessions and play together. And my grandma was just like, whatever you want, Jake, you just do it. Even if it meant like, she was the only person that parked her car in the garage, and also her sit-on lawnmowers in the garage. But she was like, yeah, we'll find somewhere else for that. You have the garage if you need it. So like my grandparents, my parents, they've always supported me.
That's
music.
wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wouldn't be doing it now if I hadn't had that support.
Now I'm going to ask you one final question, then we'll have your last song to finish up. It's been absolutely brilliant speaking to you. I want to say that now. And I've learned so much, but also it's so nice just to have the room and the space just to do this. So thank you for indulging me.
It's been nice to reflect and also like remember these things, because I've got a terrible memory, like I've said multiple times throughout this. So like even going back to sort of like prep for this in a way, like trying to remember what I've done.
So which artists that are around at the moment do you admire? Are there any? I mean, we could just go even local if you don't want to, or sort of further afield if you wanted. And who would you is there anyone that you think, if we might not have heard, is worth checking out?
There's a young band that I actually got put in contact with through Tim called Marauder.
Oh yes,
I think they're like 15, 16, just literally just doing their GCSEs. And when I get a band that young in the studio, I don't really know what level they're going to be at, and I'm not sure whether it's going to be successful really or not. Yeah. But they proved me any doubts I had going into that first session. They proved me so wrong. Like, they are writing songs well beyond their years. So
I have interviewed them before.
So much promise in that band. It's actually crazy. Because like they've shown me other songs that they're sitting on, and it's almost like, guys, we need to get into the studio for longer. We need to record all these songs. They are writing, like I say, songs well beyond their years.
Because that's funny you say that, because I think I interviewed them this time about a year ago, and I don't know whether they were doing their GCSEs or the year below. They might be doing them this year. But I remember interviewing them and then coming on very much as a mum, because they were like, oh, I don't think our GCSEs are important really, it's this music. And I was like, get your GCSEs, then do your music. Just going to say, just try and get your exams as well as doing your music. But it is hard, because at that age, it's a funny age to be thinking these are really good and we want to move this now.
But I think also, which is good for them, like it was for me, that I think they've got very supportive parents, and I think the parents realise that there's a lot of promise in that band as well. I think it might be Aaron who's the main songwriter, and he's a talented guy. So I just hope, I hope they stick at it and see where it goes. But I really hope he follows his music.
Well, we'll watch that. We'll see. That'd be great.
And another band with a lot of promise is the last band I'm gonna.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. We're going to finish with the band that you said this has only just come out. This song. Yeah. And so you've just finished it and
so
it's just gone out.
We're recording this on the 5th of May. It came out yesterday on the 4th of May, and the band's called Hollow Waves, and they're a mishmash of a couple of other bands which unfortunately disbanded, but. They played a $5 for their very first gig, probably 5 or 6 weeks ago now, and I was at the gig, and it reminded me of the glory days of the $5 back when I used to play it when I was younger, because it was like 400 or 500 people in there, and the energy was crazy. Like, they hadn't even released a song at this point. They hadn't released any of their songs. They just made like TikTok videos and Instagram reels. And there was so many people in the crowd singing the songs along to them. And they hadn't released any of them. I was like, this is mad. Like, and I knew from as soon as we started recording that, there's a lot of promise for them. So again, I hope they stick it out and see where it goes. But there was even like 30 or 40 people in the crowd who'd sat down on the junction floor and started rowing. Like, they were just like rowing in unison. I think because the band's called Hollow Waves, they all started. I was just like, this is the best $5 I've ever been to.
Yeah. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been absolutely brilliant. Now, Jake, just to introduce the last band again. So it's going to be our last single for the day, Hollow Waves.
And the song is called Face in the Mirror.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
it out.